This episode is brought to you by Prime Video. In the small town of Holland, Michigan, nothing is ever what it seems. Behind the tulip festivals and pretty houses lay dark secrets that threaten to tear a marriage apart. Nicole Kidman stars in this darkly twisted thriller about a wife and mother whose quest to uncover her husband's secrets may get her more than she bargained for. Holland, streaming on Prime Video, March 27th.
Are your ulcerative colitis symptoms proving difficult to manage? Tremfya guselkumab can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. At 1 year, many patients taking Tremfya achieved clinical remission, and some patients also achieved endoscopic remission. Individual results may vary. Tremfya is a prescription medicine used to treat adults with moderately to severely active ulcerative colitis. Serious allergic reactions and increased risk of infections may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check you for infections and TB. Tell your doctor if you have an infection, flu-like symptoms, or if you need a vaccine. Ask your doctor if Tremfya can help you manage the cycle of UC symptoms. Call 1-800-526-7736 to learn more or visit tremfyaradio.com.
Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies. Today, we're walking to a movie. It's called Mickey 17. It's the newest one from Bong Joon Ho, starring Robert Pattinson.
We've been
as
dying
a
for this
clone.
since we saw the trailer. Cracking trailer.
Yeah, it looks good. It's an adaptation of a sci-fi book about a expendable guy that gets killed and then resurrected over and over again.
Yeah, it looks great.
At least 17 times.
I think so fondly of the director because I think the last movie we saw before the shutdown in 2020, the pandemic shutdown,
was Parasite.
Yeah. And it was so good. We loved it so much. And I remember being like, if I never go to the cinema again, at least we went out on such a high note.
Yeah, I do remember thinking that.
I'm really excited for this one. Yeah, I can't wait. Robert Pattinson picks such interesting films.
God, he does, doesn't he? And I'm looking forward to seeing an original thing. I know this is an adaptation of a book, but relatively this is as original as we're going to get these days.
It's got Mark Ruffalo. I'm there. Can't wait. Right, we shall be back after we've watched Mickey 17.
See you soon.
Bye.
I wouldn't be surprised if you're thinking at this point, what have I done?
How lucky can one guy be?
Nothing was working out, and I wanted to get off of Earth.
You're applying to be an expendable?
Yeah.
You read through the whole application.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Yeah, I should have read through it.
Once you die, we'll print a new version of your body.
My head keeps spinning.
They made me work my ass off on one mission after another.
Every time you die, we learn something new, and humanity moves forward.
Oh, wait. He's alive. It's fine.
My life is gonna be beautiful.
Mickey, it's not looking very good for you.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure you're used to it by now, but
What's it feel like to die? Even on my 17th go-around, I hate dying.
Okay, hi, we're back. We've seen Mickey 17. Make sure you've watched the first 16 Mickeys before you get to this one, by the way. If it's your first time here on the Cinemile, we won't spoil Mickey 17 until we get to Spoiler Street, which is just up ahead. So, Kathy, what do you think of that film?
As it began, and probably for the first half, I just couldn't have been happier. I loved it. It was reminiscent of another movie that I love that I'll get to on spoilers. Robert Pattinson is so good in this. Honestly, he really blows me away, actually. He's such a good actor. He plays the characters very differently, various clones. I was having such a good time with it. I found it very funny. I loved the setup, and I actually really enjoyed the exposition, how the story was being told. I'll say for the second half, I probably enjoyed it less. However, even when I wasn't enjoying it, and in some parts maybe a little bit bored with what was happening on screen, I still loved to be there. I enjoyed watching it. I loved the setting. I was just having a really good time, even in parts where it was too long and I felt like it was a bit bloated. I think the story is so good. I think the script lets it down a little bit, some of the dialogue.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm just happy to be at a film like this that feels very original. I love sci-fi, and I generally like kind of space things as well. So I'm the audience of this. I love clones. So yeah, I enjoyed it. Dave?
I love clones. Put that on the poster.
I love films
Kathy
about
Cullen,
clones.
the cinema.
Multiplicity, one of my favourite movies, you know. Yeah, I honestly had a really good time, and I will say, like, uneven from beginning to end, but it's okay. I just, you know, from the director of Parasite, did I expect him to bring it home a bit better? Yes. Will I go and see his next movie? Also, yes.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad to be out here supporting. Is this independent cinema? It's not even, but whatever. It's like films that are interesting and weird and different and sci-fi by creative, interesting people like Bong Joon Ho and Robert Pattinson, who I agree puts several great performances into this movie. But it didn't work for me. I'm coming away really disappointed, deflated. The first third of this movie, I was loving
we were
it,
buzzing.
and it's brilliant.
We were like, this is so fun.
It's really good, and there's just a point where it lost me.
I know the exact point. We'll discuss it on the spoiler stream.
And then it got worse from there. I think it just lost the run of itself, and there's nothing to grip onto in terms of people to really care about or root for, and then I felt like it was just stuff happening, and a lot of stuff happening.
I would say a rare, very rare misuse of Mark Ruffalo. He's still great.
He's fine. It's
the first time I've ever watched him in a role, and I love him.
There's too many
where I'm like, I'm not feeling him.
There are too many caricatures in this movie. It's going for a tone, and I do like Bong Joon Ho's weird tone, and the movie is funny, but often it's like, it's just, this is too wacky. It's so wacky, and I was enjoying the wackiness, but also I need to cling to a character. I need to care, and I didn't care. I was really bored for large stretches of this.
Should we go to spoilers?
I think we'll have to, but I'm disappointed. I wouldn't strongly recommend this. I wouldn't be rushing to recommend this.
To be honest, if someone's going to the cinema right now this weekend, I do recommend it.
I don't know. I'm not coming away feeling satisfied as a viewer, and I'm a huge sci-fi I'll consume anything sci-fi, and I like this director. So, and if I'm not satisfied, then who am I sending to the cinema to watch this? Do you know?
What are you sending them to? Snow White, the live-action remake?
No, don't go to that either, please.
No, we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that film. It could be fine. But I'm just saying, you know,
no, it's not. I tell you right now, it's not fine.
It's not much out at the moment, and I'm really glad we went to see this, and I'm glad, you know, it's been a while since he's had a film in the cinema, and visually there was a lot of really iconic, cool-looking stuff in this film that I really enjoyed. Particularly Robert Pattinson's costume and styling in some parts of it.
I don't even think I agree with that.
There were some brilliant scenes in this film. Like, there really were.
Yeah.
Like, I understand we're disappointed with the ending, but, you know,
I'm disappointed with the ending,
I'm not
the
throwing
middle.
out the baby with the bathwater.
It's just like, I don't know. No.
Listen, we're going to go to spoilers now. You might hear an ad, and then we will be back discussing everything that happens in this film.
This episode is brought to you by Honda. Introducing the all-new, all-terrain Honda Passport Trail Sport, the most off-road capable Honda Passport Honda has ever dreamt up. The Passport features increased ground clearance, roof rails on all trims, and available specially developed all-terrain tires. And you'll stay comfortable with tri-zone climate control and available features like heated and ventilated front seats and a panoramic moonroof. Learn more at honda.com/passport.
Okay, we're back. So full spoilers now for Mickey 17. So, okay, can we firstly address the wild inconsistencies with the movie's own universe? And we haven't read the book, so I can't speak of this. So they establish very clearly there's a giant brick, which is literally a brick for some reason, which is a hard drive. It holds your memory, and it's a brick. I don't know why, but like, whatever. It's just a choice. But that holds your memory. He gets his memory re-uploaded every week, so it remains current. So his memory is uploaded at a certain point, and that is the memory at which the new Mickey will. Why does he remember dying?
Yeah, I know.
And it bugs me from the very beginning when his hand gets chopped off in the space thing, and then the new one comes out and is looking at his hand as if, wait a second, I just lost my hand.
Obviously,
he wouldn't remember that. And then everybody in the film asks him, what's it like to die? He wouldn't know.
And I don't know why the film set it up whereby I don't know why the line was left in where he says, I reboot my memory every week. because it was that line that threw us both off.
Exactly. Just if you want him to remember like dying, just make up some. It's sci-fi. Just say every time before he dies, a neural transmitter sends his memories back to base.
Okay,
It's so
Dave,
simple.
let's just pretend they said that, right, and get past that, because we can't analyse the rest of the film.
No, that's not why the movie didn't work. It isn't. I would have got over that if the movie was
annoying.
good.
Can I say that, like, I loved the film so much. I loved the
all the
exposition.
setup stuff. Yeah, it was
setup,
and that's when the movie was clicking.
So
it was
good,
so fun and good to watch.
I love seeing
him die over and over again.
It was like, you know, there's a bit of Groundhog Day in here. There's a bit of Multiplicity. There's a lot of Moon, which is a movie I love.
Yes.
I was just
Moon
there
as well.
was a lot going on in here that I'm really into, and I think the moment the film lost me was when he got into his bed and he was next to 18.
Yeah, it's all. I agree. It's all downhill from there.
All downhill.
But do you know why?
Yeah.
Because it had this great momentum of these clones, and it was happening again and again. He was dying in interesting ways, and that's the interesting thing about the movie.
But also the
and then it
interesting
stops
thing,
doing that, and it's just about these two guys.
But also, in fairness, I do think this is very hard for anything. Like, it's like the part of what made the beginning so interesting is that we know, we've seen the trailer. We know he's going to meet 18 and they're going to be together. It's almost like a romantic comedy, like a TV series where you're constantly teasing these two characters will get together. When they finally do, it's never good. And this film spent the whole movie or half the movie teasing them meeting each other, that I think my expectations were too high. I think the plot went downhill very rapidly, simultaneously, and then the stuff that really started happening that was very boring was all the stuff with Mark Ruffalo being like a kind of buffoonish would-be like emperor character. It was very boring because, like you said, when we weren't in spoilers, you felt like you couldn't root for someone, and I think it's because it kind of shifted out of being Mickey's film and shifted into being this kind of cartoonish Stormship Trooper kind of parody thing.
Mickey 17 felt like a supporting character in the second half of this movie, which is a big problem.
And I think it's because they made the plot suddenly be about these creatures, which were interesting to a point, but
don't hang the whole movie on that.
Human desire to like colonize and be violent, but like that's not what I went to see. I went to see a clone movie.
But also, guys, this is such well-mined like territory. Like Starship Troopers did exactly this with giant bugs, and then was making a satire about colonizing fascists. Like we've had that. We've had it in Avatar. We've had it like that isn't like what is interesting is what are the ethics of somebody dying over and over again?
Yeah, that stuff was fascinating.
And also, here's another interesting thing. Why does Mickey 17 and 18 have completely different personalities?
But then he said afterwards that he said 2 was clingy and 4 was this. Yeah. And I refer to my previous point. Have you seen Multiplicity? They're copies of copies.
Yes, but I wanted an answer to that question.
Yeah.
That's interesting. The movie had something there, and it should have lasered in on 17 and 18. And what I wanted was the promise, which the movie promises, of them having to live this secret double life.
Yeah, I was buzzing for that.
That's where, and it's when I didn't get that, and instead we got this incredibly
boring,
banal plot about these admittedly very cute creepers.
Creatures weren't the problem. It was the over focus on Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, who were both fine actors, but
they're caricatures. They're not interesting villains.
The very, very funny scene though happened after the point I said when the film started going downhill was when he got invited to dinner with Mark Ruffalo. That was a great scene.
I mean, it's funny.
That was a cracker.
What I did really enjoy, the film made me laugh several times.
Same.
Anytime the scientists would pop up in the middle of a scenario, and it turns out that it was just a test to see what would happen.
Yeah.
And that was every time that made me laugh.
It was, and a lot of it was actually, over on our Patreon, we are currently reviewing Severance every week, and we've had such interesting conversations about that show. And a lot of the ethical stuff, really, innies and outies and Severance are very similar to kind of
it felt like that
here. So there's a lot going on here. I wonder if, by the very end, I thought, what am I watching? like we see him, he's at the ceremony and his girlfriend's like giving a speech.
Oh, that was dreadful stuff.
But like that was fine, but then it was like, and now I'm going to tell you how we got here, and I was
Oh my
like,
God, and we didn't need that.
no.
And then it was and
then
then
there was
and then it was a dream sequence.
Yeah, I couldn't like.
What the hell?
I think like someone should have hacked, like literally old school editing, go in and cut up the film there and just hack those scenes out.
I can't believe they
I
did.
don't know why they were
Something
there.
went wrong there. But now apparently this film had lots of reshoots and it's
Oh.
been massively delayed. So
Interesting.
that ending has been cut up and butchered into a million.
Yeah, the
like
ending's terrible.
something's gone wrong there because somebody
People-
somewhere decided this isn't working, and it clearly just shoehorned in
yeah.
some weird resolution with the Toni Collette and Mark Ruffalo rebooting themselves, which made sense. I was like, well, of course they would want to live forever, so
Yeah.
why wouldn't he use this technology which is available? And so I
then
was
it
like,
was a
well, that all
dream?
makes sense. But then it was a dream. I was like,
And
what
then
are
you just
you
get the
doing?
whole backstory about his girlfriend became on the committee, but like no one was at, like no like.
I'm sorry, I
I
didn't.
believed that she was on the committee. I didn't need any explanation as to like how she got there.
That girlfriend character was wild.
Yeah.
I didn't
Couldn't
understand.
figure her out.
Couldn't figure her out. What's her motivation at any point? She was changing from scene to scene. It's like 1 minute she's like seems to be really into him, and that's fine. Then the next minute she's like, oh, I've got two of you now, and I'm high and I'm on drugs. And then the next minute she's like serious, and she's like,
even
I'm a
that-
badass, and now I've got to take you down. I was like,
But
and
even
what?
that scene
And
didn't fulfill its promise, because it's actually quite funny that she's got two clones and they're going to have a threesome.
And then nothing happens.
And then
the
even
other
the-
character, who's
Yeah.
also, why is she in this movie? She
Yeah.
felt like she would have, like she has a plot that is never resolved.
I don't really
it's built
understand.
up and never resolved. She had a friend and then who died. And
Yeah,
it's just
went
like,
nowhere.
it feels like this film was messed
and then
with
there's
a
this,
lot
and
in
then
the
there's
edit.
this other kind of plot around women and their wombs and men trying to control them, which didn't work for me at all, even though like
There's
that's
too
a
much in
subject
here.
I love to watch a film about, but not here.
But maybe this is all explored in the book. That's the thing. So I
Like,
just don't feel this doesn't hang together.
doesn't hang together.
The movie focuses on all the wrong things, drops all the interesting stuff.
I just don't
and
know
it's
how he-
incredibly. I found it tediously boring. I was squirming in my seat.
Because it says written and directed by him, so. And he had just
Yeah.
won all the Oscars, right, for Parasite, presumably when this film was commissioned. So
Now he doesn't.
Why
He
doesn't he
also
have-
doesn't speak English, so there could be a lost in translation
the
thing here.
the language thing, I did think, like, I mean, because I found some of the dialogue very poor, particularly never Mickey's dialogue, and he's the only one kind of speaking for the first half of the film, but more towards the end in particular, there was a lot of people cursing, and it didn't land. It was very ineffectual.
Yeah, I agree. The cursing felt
Particularly
wrong.
the girl, like when the girlfriend was cursing, I don't know. It just it didn't ring true with the film. I felt like the dialogue was poorly written, but I understand the lost in translation thing. Like, you know, if you're trying to write a script in a different language, but overall, I feel like I don't know what the vision. I feel like the vision for the film was the first half, and then the end point of, if you say there's a load of reshoots, you really feel that as the film goes on.
The ending felt entirely tacked on.
It was just overly stuffed with Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, and again, I really liked them both. I thought they were brilliant in it, but they just should have been side characters. Like, they came into the fore, and I wonder if there's, you know, this can often happen with adaptations. Like, they're really difficult. Like, you know, killing your own darlings or other people's, like, to remove subplots. Like, say,
Lots
for
of
example,
Stephen Yeun's character.
Oh my God,
and plot.
yeah, that was
he
really
was
bad.
I like Stephen Yeun, but he added nothing to this movie, and he was essentially
and that was
superfluous.
interesting because, like, you, at the very beginning, actually, it was very interesting to find out that, say, they were kind of old friends or comrades or whatever, and he was just as willing as anyone else to keep killing Mickey. Like, the lack of humanity towards Mickey from everyone except his girlfriend and actually that other woman in the dinner scene. Like, that is very interesting.
But also the hand wavy thing, the way they were just like, oh, don't worry, I'm now in charge of everything. They were just like, oh, don't worry, she just became in charge. Everyone was fighting and it was all chaos, but then she said, no, don't worry about, like, we'll just replace fascism with me, and I'm a good person, so don't worry. And look, we're going to abolish the Expendables program. So now everything's great.
I just think the whole, like, do you know what I could have done without? The entire creatures on the ice battle sequence, Mark Ruffalo going
exactly,
out
it was so boring because
Yeah.
we know, oh my god, wait a second, and also all the characters are 10 steps behind the audience.
Yeah.
Like, wait a second, maybe they're trying to communicate. Wait a second, they
Yeah.
only want their
But
baby.
did you notice people around
I'm
us?
like-
Everyone was sighing during that scene in the cinema. Like, people were just like, Jesus, get on with it, you know?
It's like, we've seen this.
Yeah,
This isn't interesting.
that
It's not
whole-
why we show up for a Bong Joon Ho film.
And it's not why I'm showing up for a movie about clones. I want clone shit. I wanted that clone
yeah.
threesome scene. Bring it back.
The whole thing of cloning was dropped.
Yeah.
That's the promise. That's the movie. That's the promise.
It's so funny because one of our listeners and patrons, AJ, sent us a message on Instagram saying, I'm not sure if you guys will like it. And then I saw him posting on Instagram saying, like, the end never lived up to the beginning.
That's exactly
And when
it.
I read that, I
exactly
thought, oh, that's interesting. But, you know, that's one person's take.
No, that's it.
And then I
It's as
watched
simple
the
as
film
that.
and I'm like, oh no, that really is like the take.
I will say a few other things that stood out to me that I really liked. The carelessness with which he was being printed out every time.
Oh my God,
like,
that was
I love,
very good.
It's really funny, like the way they often just forget to put the trolley underneath him and his body would just slump
Terrible.
out.
It's just the dehumanization of his character.
Exactly, that's really interesting. And I loved the little touch that I thought was excellent of him coming out of this printer, and they literally did it like a printer, like a paper going in and out. You know,
Yeah.
he kept getting stuck. You know, like
that was, or how about
that
the guy,
little movement was
they're playing
just beautiful.
cards and the guy like runs across and actually trips one of the levers
Oh,
of
God,
his
yeah.
memory. Yeah, to see, I mean, and I think the opening was very good. Like, I think the opening sequence was brilliant. I was like hugely into all of that. So look, I still maintain I would recommend this film to people.
Nah.
I enjoy, like, I think the first half is so good that I don't like the second half, but I'll still overall say I enjoyed the film. I want to see what he makes next, and I'd love to see what Robert Pattinson shows up in next, because he's just a very interesting guy. Not the first weird space movie we've reviewed.
Oh my God, I was thinking of High Life. Do you remember we did that? With the science-ish guys.
This is so much better.
It was
than
quite
High
like
Life.
that though. He was being experimented on in deep space.
It was
but
giving
that
me flashbacks to High Life.
very different movie though.
Which we reviewed possibly 7-8 years ago
God, long
on this
time
podcast
ago.
with the podcast.
But listen, yeah,
Science Dish.
I'm going to say the same thing that I say anytime we see an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I am so happy that directors like this are out there making interesting work, and I will show up every time, good or bad.
Yeah.
But this one was bad, and I don't think I would say. I don't think the first third makes up for the rest of the movie, so I wouldn't be quick to recommend it.
I wish it was just a shorter film and it actually just ended on when they woke up in bed together. Be so fun.
Simple.
Yeah.
Just watch that. Hey, go to the cinema, give Bong Joon Ho some money because interesting cinema needs to continue, and then just leave a third of the way through when Kathy's it.
Well, they shouldn't have gotten here anyway if they've not watched it, because this is spoiler street. Anyway, let us know what you thought of the film. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, we're on Letterboxd, or just the Cinemile at gmail.com. Let us know what you thought, or come over to patreon.com/the Cinemile and watch Severance with us. We've just watched The Truth About Cats and Dogs. We're reviewing White Lotus, and we're reviewing Paradise. That is just finished on Disney Plus. So we've got
And The Last of Us is coming up.
Oh,
we'll
and
be
The Last
doing
of
that.
Us, yeah. So we've a lot going on TV wise, really, at the moment, more than cinema wise, sadly.
And every month we watch an old movie that you get to vote on, so you can go in there, join for the price of a coffee a month, and you can put suggestions in for old movies and vote for the ones you want to watch. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Dave.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been The Cinemile with Dave and Kathy. I'm going to experiment with a new sign-off.
Lovely, yeah.
Do you like that one?
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, let's try a different one.
Bye.
Hey, you've been listening to Dave and Kathy on The Cinemile Hour.
Let's try another one. Let's turn
Signing
off the podcast recorder.
Bye.
I don't like you, but I'm you. I'm not you. I'm gonna kill you.
Tell me quick.
This is so exciting.
Unexplored catacombs buried beneath the city. A crumbling castle perched on a mountain peak. A top-secret government bunker. A cursed mansion cloaked in legend. I'm Sasha Auerbach. Join me and Tom Ward every Wednesday and Sunday as we reveal the mysteries and histories of abandoned places around the world and ask, where did everyone go? Brought to you by Like a Shot, makers of Forbidden History. Search for Where Did Everyone Go on your favorite podcast platform.